You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion on the E2C Network. And today, this might be my favorite podcast report, and we've had some real good ones. We've had some real good ones, especially this year. But this might be my favorite podcast because this is my favorite time of year, you know, and for great reason. It is March Madness time. We have a bracket. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about Auburn. Let's just get right into it. Dad, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You're my son, so of course this is your favorite time of year because this is by far my favorite time of year. I love the first weekend of the tournament because there's always upsets. There's always really good games. After the first weekend, when you get into the Sweet 16, it kind of goes back to chalk. But this first weekend is fun. And I think this tournament is wide open. So I'm really excited about Thursday and Friday.
Me too.
And Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Just to get right into it, this is a very balanced bracket. And to be honest, this was one of the hardest times that I've ever tried to make a bracket. This was a tough one. The matchups, there's some really good matchups. There's some really good teams. Some really interesting draws. I love Auburn's draw in this bracket. I think Auburn has a great path to New Orleans, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Doesn't mean I think they're making it to New Orleans. Don't think they're not going to make it to New Orleans, but they definitely have the easiest path of all the 2 seeds. I will say that.
Absolutely.
But let's just get right into it. Let's talk about Auburn. Auburn will play their first game on Friday. They'll play the second game of the day on True TV against the 15 seed Jacksonville State, tipping off at 11:40 Central Time.
Yeah, it's not the second game of the day. It's the second start of Thursday. So it's not the second game on Friday. It's the second start time.
Yes. That's what I meant. Yes.
I know.
Against the Jacksonville State team, an in-state team, the fourth Alabama team to be in this tournament with Auburn, Alabama, UAB, and Jacksonville State all in this bracket. I believe that's the first time ever. There's been 4. I could be wrong on that, but that sounds about right. You think about it.
Unless it happened during when Sonny and Wimp and Murray Bartow and Gene Bartow were around, I think they crossed paths. So that would have been 3 and maybe somebody else, but I don't know. I've not looked that up. That would be it's pretty impressive though that 4 teams from this state are in. That's pretty cool.
I agree. I'm excited. But Auburn will play against the Jacksonville State team, who's 5th in the country in 3-point shooting percentage, which is just amazing, isn't it? Oh, it's just great. But not a very good team. Did not win their conference tournament. Was bumped in after Bellarmine. I believe I'm saying that.
Bellarmine.
Sure. We'll go with that.
I went to a basketball camp at Bellarmine one year, so that's the only reason I know that.
I never knew that. Okay. Bellarmine won their conference tournament, but while they were in transition to Division I, they were not eligible for this bracket. So their regular season conference champion, Jacksonville State, of their conference goes right in. They're in the Atlantic Sun. So
yep. So I'm the type of guy that sees the opening round seed come out. First of all, I'm disappointed that they put 2 Alabama teams playing each other. I don't think that's very cool. Yeah. Because I want everybody to have a chance to go far in it, and I would have rooted for Jacksonville State if they played anybody else, any of the other 2 seeds.
Yeah.
So when I saw the seeding come out, I got on YouTube and pulled up the Jacksonville State-Jacksonville game, which was the semifinal of their ASUN tournament, which was played at Jack State, and watched that game. Jacksonville didn't have much, but they beat Jack State by 4 or 5. And I've heard all this about the Jacksonville State being such a really good 3-point shooting team. They were not in that game.
Yeah.
They missed a bunch of threes. Yeah. I felt like I was watching Auburn. They do have a couple bigs. One of the kids, Brandon Huffman, was transferred from North Carolina. I think he was there before Walker got there, so I don't think they crossed paths there.
No.
But he's 6'10", 260, 270. He's a large human being.
Yeah.
Never really saw the floor at Carolina. He
starts
for Jacksonville State. Yeah, we kind of like Brandon Huffman when he was up there. He wears knee braces on both knees, so he's not real mobile.
Yeah,
he's not real mobile. The Jacksonville team ran high screen and roll from the middle third of the floor a lot against Jack State, and they threw lobs, but the guy would just catch it and then go up and shoot it. But he was wide open almost every time they ran that play.
Yeah.
So they don't defend that play very well, and that's kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I think Walker and Jabari could have a field day, and for that matter, Dylan Cardwell could play really well and maybe get some lobs and going to the rim. They defend hard. They've got a kid. I don't remember his name. He's got braids, pulled back, and he's probably the guy that will defend Jabari. He's number 11. He's about 6'8", skinny, wiry, quick, can jump out of the gym. So I think he's probably the guy they'll put on Jabari. They've got and then they've got a kid, number 23. I don't know his name. He's a really good player. 6'6", built like a truck. Looks a lot like Alan Flanagan as far as build wise. But yes, they shoot a lot. If they get hot from three, they'll stay in this game.
Yeah.
And if we shoot like we did against Texas A&M,
they will beat us.
They could win.
Yeah.
They could. I don't think we're going to shoot like that. I don't think KD's going to go 0 of 14 again. But yeah, if we don't put the ball in the basket, we're not going to win anything.
I agree.
So got to put the ball in the basket. They're going to play us. They are going to play us just like A&M did. They're going to play man. They're going to slough off and say, if you can shoot it from out there, shoot it. And we're going to have to make a couple of them to draw them out.
Yeah.
I will say Bruce Pearl and this coach do not like one another.
I've seen video of Bruce at Southern Indiana and the Jacksonville State coach. I forget his name.
I think his last name's Ray.
Yeah, him. I've seen footage of those two years ago when Bruce, just like I said, when Bruce was at Southern Indiana. Man, they were in each other's face, and you don't see that with Bruce a lot. You see the respect that he has for so many coaches, whether they respect him back. You see the respect that Bruce has for other coaches, especially in the Southeastern Conference. But then, oh my goodness, if you haven't seen it, just find it. I bet it's on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. There's a few of them. There's really good footage of them just going at each other.
Right. The guy for the Jacksonville State coach actually headbutts him in one clip right in front of an official. They are yelling at each other face to face with an official standing there, I think, trying to understand what's going on. And the Jacksonville State coach, who was coaching Kentucky Wesleyan up in Louisville, like headbutts him. I was like, these guys. And Bruce said in the press conference, he said, there is not a team that Jacksonville State and this coach would rather play than Bruce Pearl and Auburn. There's not. Because he got the better of Bruce. He beat him like 12 out of 15 times they played. So he beat him a lot. That's with equal talent or somewhat equal talent. This is not equal talent.
No.
They don't have a player on their team that would start at Auburn.
I don't think they have a player on their team that would play at Auburn. I don't think Brandon Huffman's your only shot.
Huffman would not. He would not play.
He would not play over Dylan Cardwell.
This number 23 kid may play at Auburn off the bench, but he would not start. I wish I could remember his name. He's a good player.
Okay. Yeah. Just like you said, really excited about the coaching matchup. And just like you said, the talent differential should be an easy difference in this ball game. You know, this is the first time Auburn's been such a high seed where you play a team like Jacksonville State first. You know,
first time since 1999. Yeah,
back when we played in our Final Four run in 2019, we played against New Mexico State. Darnell should have lost.
Should have,
because they had a wide open corner three at the buzzer. That would have beat us
on the way. That would have beat us,
and he airballed it.
And then we slaughtered the next three big blue
destroyed Kansas and mauled North Carolina and beat Kentucky in overtime. So, no, I think it's about this team getting hot at the right time. And you saw this team struggle, and specifically players struggle in the SEC tournament game against Texas A&M. By the way, Texas A&M absolutely robbed. I don't know what in the absolute world they have for doing that.
You're going to get me on a soapbox. I do not like the way the committee did this year. A&M should have been in, and there's no reason Michigan should be in this tournament. There's just no reason.
Or what about Notre Dame?
Notre Dame should not be in this tournament. The only reason Notre Dame, in my opinion, Notre Dame's in this tournament is because of a early season win against Kentucky.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that's not impressive. Tennessee did it twice and we did it once. So
that's right.
Sorry, Kentucky fans, you can get off now.
Oh man. Oh no. I encourage Kentucky fans to continue on this podcast if they do listen. They definitely don't. But if you are on this podcast and you're a Kentucky fan, I encourage you to try and listen to us as we will get to the East bracket here in a little bit.
Yeah.
No, but let's talk about Auburn's run. We talked about a little bit about Jacksonville State. Auburn, in my opinion, got by far the easiest road as a 2 seed to the Sweet 16 when it comes to the 7 and 10 matchup that they got with USC and Miami. I mean, Kentucky got Murray State and San Francisco. And
I'd a lot rather have
Duke
this
got Michigan State and Davidson.
A lot rather have this
Villanova got Ohio State and Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, I'd a lot rather have this one.
Oh my goodness. It's not even close.
So USC's tall.
USC's tall.
Miami is not.
Yeah.
Miami is not.
Yep.
So look, if Auburn can put the ball in the basket, they can make the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I really think it is. Our defense is good enough that we won't get blown out in games.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten blown out yet.
Yeah.
USC, I've watched them a couple times on the left coast, and they just haven't impressed me. Mobley's brother is there, good player. Mobley's probably going to be your rookie of the year in the NBA. So his brother plays. Miami, I did watch Miami absolutely destroy North Carolina earlier in the year. I mean, they got hot from 3, and Carolina went and guarded them, and it was ugly.
Yeah.
So they can do that.
Ahead of Duke the entire game in the ACC semifinals, and Duke pulled away late, ended up losing to Virginia Tech in the ACC championship. Why are we talking about the ACC? That's
I think Miami did go into Duke though and win this year at Cameron.
They might have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to win at Cameron this year.
Look,
easy to win at Cameron this year.
Look, either of these two teams is capable if you're not making shots.
I agree.
But
definitely.
Yeah, they're by far the easiest 7-10 split.
Yeah, and then you look at a team and the other regional, you've got LSU versus Iowa State, and then Wisconsin versus Colgate. I think you easily see Wisconsin come out of that.
I look, I don't think LSU is going to be able to play. They just lost their coach.
Yeah,
they're under a cloud of investigation. I'd be shocked if they beat Iowa State.
Yeah.
Wisconsin will beat Colgate, and then I think Wisconsin comes, like you said, from that group out. But boy, Wisconsin is not a fun team to watch play basketball.
Let me say this about Wisconsin. Wisconsin has one of the most fun players to watch in this tournament in Johnny Davis. He's a fantastic player to watch. He is healthy. Okay. He was healthy in the Big Ten tournament.
Okay.
And they lost to Nebraska.
Yeah.
They lost to Nebraska.
At Wisconsin.
And Auburn destroyed Nebraska earlier in the year in Atlanta. So, look, when I tried to make this Wisconsin-Auburn pick in the Sweet 16, that just kept coming back to me, and watching the difference in each Nebraska game. And Nebraska's not a good basketball team. They did not make this tournament. They were not going to make this tournament. You know, that 1 5-star that they got was pretty good. He did not do anything against Zeb Jasper and Auburn. And that was Auburn's one of the best overall games that we played this year. I would say the game at Auburn against Alabama was one of them as well. And we dropped 100 on them. And we'll get to that other school in a second. But no, I would pick Auburn against Wisconsin. I think I would feel more confident against Wisconsin. And I don't know, because Johnny Davis is a really good player. The thing about this Auburn team is no matter what, I don't think no matter who you play, no matter who you're matched up against, whether you're matched up against Gonzaga, Duke, Kansas, Murray State, Yale, whoever, South Dakota State, anybody you're matched up with, you've got the best player.
Best player on the floor.
You've got the best player on the floor. And you might have the second best player and the third best player.
You definitely
and probably
do
all
have
but like 6 or 7 matchups. You've got the second best player as well.
It all comes down to putting the ball in the
You've
bucket.
got to shoot the basketball. You've got to shoot it well. Especially from three and especially from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It all comes down to putting the ball in the bucket. I agree. Look, I'm going under the assumption that Jabari will continue doing what he does, and Walker will continue doing what he's been doing, and that we'll get one of our guards, one of them, to have breakout games, and another guard just to have a normal average game.
Yeah.
If we do that, we beat Wisconsin, and we get to play Kansas.
Slowly roll on that. I do think I have Auburn and Kansas in that Elite Eight as well. I do think it will be Auburn and Kansas. I would watch out for a team like Iowa.
They look good in the Big Ten
because they would have the better player on the floor in every game except against Auburn and maybe Duke, because Keegan Murray is on a complete hot streak. Iowa's as hot as any team in college basketball right now will win the Big Ten tournament. I know that's not as impressive as winning the SEC tournament, and we'll talk about Tennessee getting absolutely snubbed on their seeding. But
apparently it is. They got 9 teams in this bracket. 9 teams. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I do have Kansas.
I was good.
The Kansas-Iowa game will be a lot of fun to watch. Watch Abaji and McCormick go against Keegan Murray and that all, Caucasian Iowa team. So I do have Kansas and Auburn in the Elite Eight, and I do have Auburn winning that game.
That's going to be a tough game.
I think that is the toughest matchup that you could possibly have in this bracket, even if you go all the way to the national championship. I think that's the toughest game.
I think we, because of the fact that they're big, mm-hmm. So when if we play USC, their big is a finesse big. Yeah. He's tall and slender and a finesse. A lot like his brother. A lot like his brother, whose brother's more talented than he is.
Oh, for sure.
This Kansas team, their big is not a finesse guy. Mm-mm. He is I'm going to play with my back to the basket, and I am going to knock your block off. No. And let's see if Walker, because Walker struggles with that a little bit, because Walker's more of a finesse guy.
No.
So it would be an interesting matchup, and I guess who you put on Abaji?
Zep.
I guess.
Zep or Allen?
Allen is who I was kind of thinking about, because he's built a little bit bigger than Zep is. Because Abaji's not short. He's not 6'4", 6'5", and built and really good player. Yeah. I'd like to see in that game if he would go 0 for 10 like he did in that one game Texas, earlier in the year. Yeah. So
again, but another game another common opponent against a team that Auburn has faced, and then I like the matchup in that common opponent. Kentucky went to Allen Fieldhouse and dominated Kansas by like 25. Dominated them. And I know them coming to Auburn Arena and, Ty being hurt, sure.
Careful.
Look, and I'm going to, if there's Kentucky fans listening to this podcast,
they're not.
They went in and dominated this Kansas team.
Beat the stuffings out of them.
And I think about that and I'm like, okay, even if we went to Rupp, I don't think it would have been that bad, right?
No.
So, and yes, that was, the Auburn Kentucky game was a month and a half ago. That game, the Kansas Kentucky game was a month ago. Like, you can't base off those. But another common opponent between with these Auburn
and Kansas
and matchups, and it's like, well, we got the better end of that common opponent. So
we also beat Oklahoma. I know they beat Oklahoma too, but I don't know how bad it was. I don't know how they played against Oklahoma. I'd be interested to look at that. If we get to that point, that's probably a game I'll watch before we play Kansas, is Kansas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
So I do have Auburn advancing to the Final Four out of the Midwest. And what we'll do is we'll go through each other region and kind of get away from Auburn for a little bit. And we'll talk about each region for a little bit and get who we have coming out of that region, maybe some good matchups, some good players, and maybe a Cinderella out of each one or something, or whatever you have, and get the Final Four. We'll talk about the Final Four. So I'm going to go up on the bracket. I'm looking at my bracket right now. I'm going to go up to the South bracket, where Arizona is the 1 seed and Villanova is the 2 seed. Again, I mentioned this earlier. Tennessee being a 3 seed is absolute crap. They just won the SEC. SEC.
It proves that the SEC tournament means nothing, because we went in 19 as a 5 seed, and we won the tournament big time and came out as a 5 seed.
Yeah.
And Tennessee went in as a 3 seed, and when they won it, people were talking, do they sniff that 1 line? Yeah. And if not, they're definitely a 2. That gives us 3 2 seeds from our conference.
That would have knocked off Villanova, yeah.
And there's no reason why they're not a 2 seed. I thought the committee did a very poor job on this bracket. A&M should have been in. There's no reason the Big Ten has 9 teams in. They were at best the 3rd strength of conference. Mm-hmm. Big 12, SEC, and then them and the ACC would be 3rd and 4th.
By the way, the ACC has Duke, and then the next highest seed is North Carolina at 8.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not good.
So, and then Miami
not a good year.
At
not
10,
a good year for the
and
ACC.
Virginia Tech 11 and Notre Dame at 11. Notre Dame's playing right now. They're up by 3 on Rutgers right now as we're recording this in the first 4. The winner of that game plays against Alabama. We'll get that here in a minute.
Not there.
Talk about this South bracket again. Tennessee, unbelievable. I've got 2 upsets that I'm almost sure on in this South.
Okay.
And one of them you disagree with me on, and I'm trying to. I convinced Kyle earlier on it, and now I'm trying to convince you. UAB over Houston, the 5-12. Always happens.
Yeah.
UAB is hot as a firecracker. They just won their thing. Jamal Johnson, the UAB guy. Now, Jordan Walker for UAB, averaging like 40 a game in his last 5 or 6 games. That's absurd.
He's fun.
He had like 47 in their conference championship.
He's fun to watch.
And they won the
Conference USA.
Conference USA. That's it. I knew it'd come to me. I love this UAB team. I don't think they go past the 2nd round because they meet up with Kofi Coburn in Illinois.
Nope.
Yeah. No,
Mocs are going to win.
You're going to have Chattanooga over Illinois.
That's my alma mater. I've got to pull my alma mater through that.
I just can't do it. I can't pick against a big guy like that.
Oh, well, Chattanooga's got a big guy from Kansas.
That's true.
Transfer.
That's
Good
true.
player.
It's not
too.
Kofi Coburn.
Good player.
Yes, he is a good player.
So
And
you
my other
have the
upset-
UAB upset, and I have the Chattanooga upset.
Okay. And then I was wondering if you had this one as well. And I don't think this is an upset. And a lot of people are going to say it's an upset because it's the lower seed. And a lot of people are going to say it's an upset because of the difference in schools. But Loyola Chicago over Ohio State all day.
I think so too. I have that one as well. I think that's a good call.
I have Loyola Chicago also beating Villanova. I am not impressed by Villanova whatsoever. And I say that they're going to win the national championship now. And I've just spoken that into existence. But my Elite Eight in this is Illinois and Tennessee.
All right. I have Houston and Tennessee.
See, Houston, our worst free throw shooting team. One of the worst free throw shooting teams in college basketball.
It's fine. Talented group of guys.
Jelly's going to get them.
All right. I'd like to see that, by the way. I'd rather be wrong there because I like UAB. I think Andy Kennedy has done a unbelievable job coming home to mama.
Kicking themselves now.
Yeah.
No, but I have Illinois coming out of that bracket. I'm a big fan of Kofi Coburn. I know this is a guard-led tournament, but Kofi Coburn is, I don't know, I just like him. Maybe it's because of his name. Maybe it's because he's like 7 feet, 275 and can shoot.
He's huge.
He's huge. Unbelievable.
That is a guy I don't want Walker having to play.
I completely agree. And we'll talk about that in my Final Four.
Well, they're not in my Final Four because they got beaten the first weekend, but okay.
So let's
go to the next one.
Who do you have coming out?
I have Houston coming out of there.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You said that. Okay, West. Let's go over to the West. Of course, where the top seeded Gonzaga is the 1 seed, and Duke is the 2 seed, and then being a 2 seed over Tennessee is just.
We skipped over the East. Did we skip over the East?
No, we didn't. We'll come back to the East. I'm going left over. Just what I'm looking at.
Okay.
The matchup that I'm most looking forward to. There's 2 second-round matchups that I really want to see, and I've got this chalk, except Memphis over Boise State, which is the 8-9. Which again, toss-ups.
I do too. I've got that one.
Really are just toss-ups.
I have Davidson over Michigan State.
I put Michigan State there because I want to see Michigan State and Duke in the second.
And I have Rutgers or Notre Dame, whoever wins that, beating that team from the west side of the state.
I don't think I could do that. I want Alabama to get a little bit of hope, and then Texas Tech to just crush them.
This is my heart thing, though. This is just.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I agree. Though the Michigan State Duke would be a good matchup, but I just don't think Michigan State. It depends on which team shows up.
Mm-hmm.
If they play well, they can beat anybody. But when they don't play well, they look terrible.
That's right.
So we'll see.
Another matchup is look. There could be 4 really, really good second round matchups in this tournament. If Alabama wins, and if Memphis wins, Michigan State wins, and if UConn and Arkansas meet in the second round, 2 teams that beat Auburn, one time playing, both away from Auburn Arena, but whatever. Zep wasn't playing in the second game, and Allen wasn't playing against UConn.
Yeah,
doesn't really count because if we go by Kentucky fan lounge, we're just digging at Kentucky in this podcast. I cannot wait to get to the East.
Good.
But no, the upset, my Elite Eight is UConn and Texas Tech. I got Texas Tech beating Duke in the Sweet 16, and UConn making the American game by beating the Zags in the Sweet 16, and then Texas Tech going to the Final Four.
Well, I have a very, very athletic Memphis team knocking the Zags off in the second round.
I can see that.
And then I have Arkansas. I have Arkansas beating them, and then Texas Tech beating Arkansas, and going to the Final Four.
We both have the same one. That's the first one we've had besides Auburn, of course. But now we'll go down to the East bracket, and we'll just kind of say what we like in this bracket, and of course we'll talk about the one that I know both of us have, The two. So the North Carolina Marquette, just like I said earlier, the 8-9s are always such toss-ups. And if you look back in the past, 5 years, it's like 70-70 or the past like whatever years.
Yeah.
It's like it's really close.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really interesting matchup between the Tar Heels and Marquette. I don't know if you know me. I don't know if you know us. It's definitely North Carolina.
We're Heels fans. Yeah. It's North Carolina. Look, if North Carolina plays like they did 2 Saturdays ago in Cameron, they can go to the Final Four out of this group. They could beat Baylor, but they'll beat Marquette, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But if they play as well as they did, they could really push some people.
I agree, and make a run at this East bracket. I'd love to see a North Carolina Kentucky Elite Eight as much as I'd love to see that. But problem with that's not going to happen because Kentucky is losing in the second round to Murray State.
I agree. Come on, Racers. I got faith in you, Racers.
This is Murray State time. Tevin Brown. This is his time. He had his Auburn tryout. He's coming to Auburn next year. Just kidding. The only upset that I have besides those two is in the first round. I have Virginia Tech beating Texas. Again,
I do too.
Virginia Tech being extremely hot, just won the ACC tournament. Texas
is not.
Kind of saw a little bit of a letdown after that Kansas game where they did not win in Allen Fieldhouse after
overtime.
Uche Agbaji had a Katie Johnson Texas A&M game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't trust Chris Beard and the Longhorns, but I trust his other team in Texas Tech. His previous team.
So I watched the Virginia Tech run through the ACC tournament. It was Texas A&M like, except they finished it by beating Duke convincingly.
Yeah.
So I have Virginia Tech winning that one, and then I have them beating Purdue. So I have them getting beat by Murray State in the next round.
I love Purdue. I love Jaden Ivey. I think Jaden Ivey has worked his way into that kind of 4, maybe 5 slot, depending on where Keegan Murray is and depending on who the NBA draft guys are, behind obviously Smith, Banchero, and Holmgren.
Yeah.
I don't look.
I like the guy too. I watched them play against Iowa, and they were going in consistently to the guy that's 7'6", just could not be stopped. They'd throw it into him and he'd just drop it in the bucket. And I was like, man. And then they took him out. Purdue took him out. And I was like, okay, they're giving him a rest. He never came back in the game. He never walked back on the court. He didn't foul out, but he never came back on the court. I was like, coach, they could not stop him.
Yeah.
And they kind of fell apart, and I would just beat their eyeballs in after that.
Yeah, so Keegan Murray just got really hot.
Yep.
I've got Baylor and Purdue in the Elite Eight, and I've got Purdue in the Final Four. And I think a Purdue versus Texas Tech matchup would be awesome in the Final Four. And we'll get to that here.
I have a Cinderella here.
Oh, goodness. You went with Murray State, didn't you?
I have Murray State racing to the Final Four. Come on. Come on, Tevin Brown. Come on, baby. Get it rolling. Get that 3 rolling and then move to Auburn.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, no, I have Murray State in the Final Four there.
So then we end up in New Orleans, Louisiana on April 2nd, Saturday. Saturday, the week before A-Day.
That's true.
Great. That's Saturday true. If we
Auburn will play in the Final Four in the championship game the week before A-Day.
Goodness gracious.
I wonder if anybody would show up at A-Day after that.
So my Final Four, again, has matchups of Texas Tech and Purdue, and then Auburn and Illinois. So I'm going to start with the left side of the bracket that I'm looking at. I got Texas Tech and Purdue. Well, I really like Texas Tech this year. Mm-hmm. I think once I saw them go into Baylor and just beat the brains off of them. Yeah. As when Baylor was number 1 and we were trying to get to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, keeping a very close eye on the teams ahead of us while we were on the win streak. But I really fell in love with Texas Tech and their new coach of theirs and the
he's done a great job.
Have. Yeah. Unbelievable first year from him.
Probably going to win Coach of the Year, by the way.
Probably, yeah. I agree. So give me the Red Raiders in the national championship.
Okay, so I had in that side of the bracket, I had Texas Tech and Murray State, and I have Texas Tech winning that game. Murray State made it to the Final Four.
Yeah,
they get some love for that. But Texas, I'm like you. I've watched Texas Tech in the championship of the Big 12 give Kansas all they want. They've beat Kansas this year. They're a really good team, very athletic, good shooters, got some big guys. They're very good. So I have Texas Tech advancing as well.
So, and now here we come to this, and this is where my heart and my mind disagree. And I'm going to tell you what my heart says first. My heart says that this Auburn team will get extremely hot from outside. These guards will win us this game against Illinois, because my mind says, the Final Four has kind of been run by big guys. If you look in the past, you look at guys like Kennedy Meeks at North Carolina a few years ago, and Chris Jenkins at Villanova, and you just go on, DeAndre Hunter at Virginia. I know we don't like to speak of that team. Bigger guys, because of the depth perception on the shooting. It was very difficult. You're in a dome. You're in a
really
stadium.
Strange stadium. Yeah, really strange sight lines.
And my thought is, okay, Kofi Cockburn is one of the most dominant big men college basketball has seen in recent years. So my mind says Illinois, but I'm going to pick Auburn, because why would I not?
It's an Auburn podcast, my friend.
That's right.
So I have Auburn against Houston here, and I have Auburn winning.
I have Auburn. You have Auburn against Houston.
I have Jabari dominating in the Final Four, and us not needing to shoot from outside as much, because Jabari will have 30 in that game.
Oh wow! Final Four MVP, whether we win or lose.
Yes.
And then Auburn, Texas Tech, what should have been the national championship in 2019, is reincarnated on Monday night. You want to be number one Monday night, and in New Orleans, the Auburn Tigers cut down the Nets.
The Nets.
That is really hard for me to pick, especially after watching against Texas A&M and watching this team. It's really, really difficult for me. But I got to go with my heart. I got to go with my heart, and that's what my heart says. My mind says otherwise. My mind says, I really like Kansas. Kansas is a really good team. That's a really tough matchup for Auburn. And then my mind would say, Kofi Cockburn. That's yikes. And then my mind would also say, Texas Tech. That's another really good basketball team that Auburn might not have very good matchups with. But my heart says the Tigers. We're a 2 seed in March Madness. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Why you got it.
Look, Gray's right. You've got Jabari for a maximum of 6 games left.
Yeah.
Probably got Walker for a maximum of 6 games. Just enjoy it. Sit back, watch the games, have some fun with it. Do I think that Auburn really will cut the Nets down? I don't know. If you would have asked me this at halftime of the Texas A&M game, I said, no, we're not going to beat a 15 seed, because we were terrible in that first half. But what I did see is in the second half, Wendell caught fire. And I don't know if he caught fire and found something in his shot. But if he can shoot a little bit like that, I don't want him shooting from the logo every time.
Well, if it goes in, sure, shoot it.
Open shots. Yeah. They're going to get open shots, especially until they start making them. Yeah. They're going to get open shots. Just make open shots. Yeah. That's a lot easier said than done, but just make open shots. And you've got to check. I think we have the easiest way to the Final Four.
I agree.
A lot easier than 2019.
Oh my gosh, yes. When I saw that 2019 bracket, I was like, well, it was fun. We beat Tennessee.
Yeah. All right.
But we will go ahead and get out of here. Enjoy the games. This will come out Thursday morning. Enjoy the games. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy this 3 week period of just pure happiness when it comes to college basketball. It's the best time of year.
It is.
Got some good things going on with Auburn. We also got some good things going around with the network. You can find us on the YouTube channel, E2C Network, or on Twitter, E2C_network. You can find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg or on Instagram at Grayo21. And Dad, you can go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter at IamCTO.
Come talk with us, enjoy the games with us on social media, and enjoy it with your friends and family, but only if they're wearing orange and blue, not if they're wearing crimson or any kind of Kentucky blue either. But we'll get out of here. Hopefully we will talk to you next sometime in early April with a national championship shirt on my head, or hat on my head. So we'll go ahead and get out of here.
We'll see about doing one next week.
Yeah. We'll definitely do one, depending on if Auburn makes it to the Sweet 16 or not. But let's get out of this region. Let's get out of the region. We will get out of here, and until next time, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by E2CNetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.